Coming to you live on YouTube, 800-321-0710, 800-321-0710. We are live on YouTube and taking your calls on all matters financial. Also taking your questions on the YouTube chat box. We're going to be talking about, are your retirement accounts protected from creditors? Also, your spouse, is she or he the IRA beneficiary? And Social Security beneficiaries will soon see the biggest jump in monthly checks in 40 years, a sign that inflation is upon us. And switching to Medicare from a public health exchange, how to avoid costly mistakes. But first, the Bitcoin Futures ETF is here. Both Valkyrie and ProShares came up with Bitcoin ETF. And I'm going to tell you about why it's not really Bitcoin. It's not. And I don't know what people are getting all excited about, because it's not even the real Bitcoin. So it's a futures product, and we're not recommending you buy or sell anything over the airwaves, but it's called BTF is one of them, and then there's something, I think it's BITO or something. They were announced, it would come out. They traded this week. I think it was over $1 billion in volume. Now, Bitcoin's like $1 trillion market cap right now, so it really is kind of just a drop in the bucket. And there are significant problems with it. Namely, it's not real Bitcoin. It's futures. It's a derived value. But the SEC announced that it was allowable, I guess, because the futures market is a little more highly regulated. And we don't do futures. We don't recommend them over the air. But, you know, it's not real Bitcoin. So that's an interesting thing. You know, financial news media often gets hyped. You get hyped up with fear or greed. People are trying to get in on the greed of the Bitcoin market, but they're not even buying real Bitcoin. Now, Spot ETF, which is owning the actual thing, just like you have gold ETFs that are based on gold futures and gold that are based on spot Bitcoin. If you have any questions about this fascinating development, give us a call. Folks, we're taking your calls all show. 800-321-0710, 800-321-0710. If you have questions on bonds, stocks, annuities, mutual funds, whatever question you want, we're here for you. Now, according to one exec, Schwab's Townsend, he says the estate and capital gains taxes are likely to stay in the spending bill. So capital gains taxes and the lowering of the estate tax could be in the new bill. A lowering of the estate tax exemption and changes to the capital gains taxes are upon us, which is quite the development. Earlier this year, President Biden called for ending the stepped-up basis on principle, but that proved to be too controversial for Capitol Hill. President Joe Biden's $3.5 trillion spending package will shrink to around $2 trillion. Retroactivity of the capital gains and dividends could stay in the package. Democrats and Republicans don't agree on the mandated auto IRA provision. So you need to call your congressman, congresswoman right now, senators. Tell them to keep the stepped up basis. Also, the current exemption amount from the estate tax is now $11.7 million. I've still talked to many of you who are worth north of $11.7 million that have still not done basic estate tax planning. Call me right now at 800-321-0710 if you have a question on the step-up in basis, or the capital gains tax hike or the estate tax exemption being gone. Now, 11.7 million is scheduled to sunset at the end of 2025, but what the proposal in the House would do is accelerate the sunset to the end of 2021, which would take the baseline number back to 5 million. According to Michael Townsend, Director of Legislative and Regulatory Affairs for Charles Schwab, adding in the inflation adjustments will take it right around 6 million per person for the exemption. So what that means, if you die with 10 million, 4 million north of 6 million, even though you've paid an income tax on that your whole life, now you got to pay a death tax above that threshold of 40 cents on every dollar. So if you leave $20 million, according to the new bill, you pay 40% of $14 million. It's less than $6 million gone, 5.6 million approximately, gone due to estate tax, even though you've already paid income tax on it your whole life. Now, the idea is to take the capital gains top rate to 25% for people earning more than 400 grand per year and make that retroactive to September 13th. 9/13. Why did they pick that date? Because they're idiots. So it's not nearly enough to tax capital gains 23.8% federally, another 10.75 state if you live in New Jersey. Let's tax it even more. Under the current proposal, gains realized prior to September 13th will be taxed at a top rate of 20%. Gains realized after that would be taxed at a top rate of 25% for folks earning more than 400 grand per year. Now, if they pass this, I think this 9/13 date will not be held up in court, and they will make it so that it's grandfathered from the date of the bill's passage. So if you want to sell anything, now might be the time. This is still being negotiated, but the sense is that the retroactivity of just the capital gains and dividends provision, not any other provision, could stay in the final passage. Also likely to be included is some kind of increase to the corporate tax rate. Right now, the proposal is for a 26.5% rate for companies earning more than $5 million per year. There are moderates in the Senate saying, what about 24, 25%, something like that. So don't be surprised that the number comes down just a little bit in the negotiations on the individual side. So let's tax capital gains. Let's tax stocks when we need the stock market to prop up pensions, 401ks, and the like. This is absolute idiocy. Then we have President Biden's $3.5 trillion spending package will shrink as the amount being talked about now is $2 trillion. That's not trimming around the edges. That is excising entire policy initiatives out of this package. Some of these tax increases may be shrunk or even more likely fall away. And we just don't know at this point which ones. The Senate will want to make changes. What could get chopped? The retirement provisions. Democrats and Republicans really don't agree on retirement provisions in the bill. So there are provisions in the bill that will affect your retirement. We'll talk about those after the break. Now, I would not be surprised to see Congress revisit some of these retirement provisions, particularly what we're going to talk about after the break. But first, call us for your very own customizable cash flow analysis worksheet. When you call us today, you get the no obligation protection, savings, and growth review, which is a one-page, customizable, clear, concise view of where you are today. Now, somebody said, well, why do I need to know where I am? I already know where I am. Most of you don't. Most of you have no clue what taxes are lurking in your IRAs? What risk is in your portfolio? So you get to score your top 5 holdings from a perspective of risk, fees, and taxation. So call me now during the break, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH for our free protection, savings, and growth model review. We'll be back after these messages with your calls all hour, 800-321-0710. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
It's always on your mind. Retirement, whether you're 55 or 35. Not everyone wants to work forever, and most would like a comfortable retirement. You may already have a plan, but is it the right one? Josh Jalinski, host of the popular Financial Quarterback radio program, is ready to guide you towards financial freedom. He challenges the ways your parents and grandparents saved money with fresh strategies, which are exactly what you need to navigate today's volatile economic climate. Josh's new book, Retirement Reality Check, is available to order on Amazon. It's an easy read that guides you through his system for securing your financial freedom, including tax-saving strategies, understanding the right investment mix, and more. Order now. Retirement Reality Check. Call Josh at 888-988-JOSH. Let Josh help you map out your retirement using fresh strategies. Call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674.
Hey, meet you out on the first tee?
Yeah, I'll be right there. Just reading this article.
On what?
New bill Congress passed. Looks like it's going to affect the value of all retirement savings plans. My financial guy didn't tell me about this when I saw him the other day.
Well, my guy did, and we made a plan. You may have heard of him, Josh Jalinski.
Josh Jalinski is your guy?
Listen, if you're 10 years or less from retirement,
Which I am.
Josh will give you a free economic plan, which includes retirement planning, a 27-point checklist to make sure your income lasts as long as you live. He'll even help you navigate the current tax code.
I'm definitely going to call Josh.
Cool, but first, can we play some golf?
Call Josh Jalinski, host of the popular Financial Quarterback radio program, for your free economic plan. 888-988-JOSH. 888-988-JOSH. 888-988-JOSH.
Hi, everybody. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. And the aspect of the bill that might get chopped is the auto IRA. Who cares? You're taking away Granny's preferential stock treatment on capital gains. Who cares about an auto IRA? In fact, an IRA, you're basically telling the government, let my money grow so you can tax me later. In fact, where are we getting all this money for all this debt? You know where they're going to end up getting it? I personally believe long-term, sometime in the decade, that they'll get it from IRAs. They'll get it from individual retirement agreements. They'll get it from 401ks. And the economy right now is like a mirage. We have inflation rates near 30% if you consider bread that used to be 99 cents. I had a friend tell me the other day, you know what, Josh, I went to the store and the dollar bread is now $1.30. It's 30% inflation. I always give the story of a van that I bought for about 40 grand, 5 grand with taxes, fees, etc. That same van's now $69.5 within 7 months. If that's not hyperinflation, I don't know what is. What else has gotten more expensive for you? Call us, 800-321-0710. Now, is this inflation disinflationary, as Lacey Hunt would suggest? Probably. But right now, we are undergoing rampant inflation. Stocks are going up, even though the economy's a mess. Government debt is ballooning. And they're worried about an auto IRA. People can't even buy groceries. How much has gas gone up in a year? 100%? 200%? I don't know. What's a tank of gas now? I have an electric car.
Looks like $4, I think.
$4. And here's the other thing. I think they're getting people on electric. What happens when our electricity grid, when all the cars go electric, right? And our electric cars cause such a problem. We have brownouts every day like they do in California. I don't want to be depressing here, but we've shut down nuclear plants. We've decommissioned them, even though nuclear is the safest, cleanest form of energy, according to many studies that I've read. Now, people might say, well, what about Fukushima? What about 3 Mile Island? Well, if you take how many years reactor life is, that's why people say it's the safest. There's only been like 3 major events in 17,000 years of reactor life. And if we're going to really care about the environment, why don't we invest in nuclear? Why don't we invest in fusion? Because people are deranged. I don't know. It makes no sense. But think about this. What is going to happen when every car is electric by 2030? The pressure on the grid. I'm telling you, I looked at my electricity bill from charging up my Tesla. Be prepared, folks, for $1,000 a month electric bills to generate electricity for your cars. People don't think about that. People always ask me, oh, do you like your car? It's so cool. I go, I hate it. It's annoying, but I'm too cheap to get a new one. So do I think it's fun? But we still have a combustion engine, 2 other combustion engine cars that I wouldn't trade for the world, because what happens when the government just shuts off the electricity? Oh, you can't drive today. Or the per city, per mile tax that's being floated in DC. I think it already passed. And the technology is there, folks. They're going to track how many miles you run your car. And in the name of environmental justice, you're going to be taxed a per mile tax. Have you heard about this, Ernesto?
I have not. It sounds crazy, though.
It's coming to a theater near you. So a per mile tax is upon us in DC. And they'll float it, and they'll see how much they can get away with, because we let them for some reason. So we have a lowering of the estate tax exemption, which is a euphemism for a death tax. Meaning, why do they say a death tax? Because it's money that has already been taxed. So you're taxing people just because they're dead and can't vote. I actually prefer a 90% death tax for anyone north of $1 billion, but they'll never do that. Why? Because those people have foundations, they have attorneys, they know how to legally avoid those things. What about the $6 million family farm in Iowa, or in New Jersey, or in New York? Well, your land's worth $6 million, $10 million. We're going to take 40% of the overage above $6 million. That's what they're really going after. Middle class reachers. You know, this bill is a disaster. So now I'll tell you what I really feel. The current exemption amount from the estate tax is $11.7 million. I'm repeating myself here, but just think about this. The reason they raised the exemption is because we've had inflation. So that family farm is worth more than it was 10 years ago. So there was a raising of the estate tax. Now, I don't think any estate tax is really fair, even if you're a billionaire, because I don't think the government is a good arbiter of wealth. They don't spend it well. But they really know who they're going to get the money from. I've talked to people over the last year, people worth, astounding numbers that the average person would not, be able to attain. Let's say middle class person grows a business. That business is now worth considerable amounts. They sell it. They're worth $30 million. What is the estate tax bill on a $30 million estate? Well, let's do the math. So let's say you built a successful practice. So 30 million, let's do the math, minus 11 which is the current threshold, times 0.4, still a $7.6 million tax when the person dies. That's the current law. So that's not like they're not evading tax. Do you understand? But under the new law, that same person, you might say, well, I'm not that person, Josh. And if, let's say it's a $6 million exemption, that same person will pay $9.6 million in taxes on money that's already been taxed. Probably at the highest rates, which are 39.6 federal in the new law and about 10.75 state in the state of New Jersey. And could be even more if you have city and state tax as well. So we're going to have higher capital gains tax potentially. Are you prepared? Call us at 888-988-JOSH, and we would love to help you prepare. So we're going to go to YouTube. Now, folks, go to the youtube.com. If you haven't, hit the subscribe button. Look for Josh Jalinski live show. Give us a thumbs up. Also, we have a question. Someone named Unbroken said I was super cheap this year. Saved up about 10 grand from unemployment. Congratulations. What should I do with it? Well, Unbroken, do you have an emergency fund, which is 6 months of your expenses in the bank, ready for emergencies? If not, do not pass go. Do not collect $200 like in Monopoly. But if you have saved up an emergency fund, think about a Roth. You can put up to 6 grand if you're under 50 and older. You can put up to $7,000 a year. The money grows income tax free, and it's a powerful benefit. So, folks, go to YouTube, hit the subscribe button. You get to ask me any financial question you have, and we will answer it. Also, don't be bashful. Call us live, 800-321-0710, 800-321-0710. If you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, no question is a dumb one, except the one that you do not ask. So the current exemption is 11.7 million. That's dropping to 5 million. So a lot's going to be changing with the tax law. And a lot of what we're covering, you may go, who am I? Why am I here? I don't know where I'm going to get hit next. We have inflation. We have taxation. What do I do? Well, call us for the tax modeling review. Now, Social Security 2100 bill combines the old age and survivors and disability insurance trust funds and ends the 5-month waiting period to receive disability benefits. Legislation also includes an increase for all beneficiaries that is equivalent to about 2% of the average benefit. The House Ways and Means Committee Subchairman John Larson, a Democrat from Connecticut, plans to introduce a bill called Social Security 2100, a sacred trust. According to Think Advisor, there is a bill to change Social Security and expand the payroll tax coming Wednesday. The bill adopts the Consumer Price Index for the elderly as the basis of the annual cost of living adjustment, applies the payroll tax to wages above 400 grand, and combines the old age and survivors and disability insurance trust funds. You might say, oh, this is nothing. So another tax. So realize not only if you're making 400 grand will be taxed more on death, you'll be taxed more on wages. Now, what they say, which is a lie, is it will only affect the top 0.4% of wage earners, which may or may not be true. But presently, payroll taxes are not collected on wages over $142,800. So that's going to be another 15% tax on those making over $142,800. Now, where do I get the 15% tax? Now, those people are already taxed on Medicare. So it's really about a 12% increase, because the way Social Security works is your employer pays 6.4, you're paid 6.4. Then there's a Medicare tax and another Medicare tax your employer pays, totals about 15%. In addition, and this guy from Connecticut, so call your Connecticut senator and tell him this is absurd. This is, we'll be adopting a CPIE formula and will supposedly help seniors, but will be slamming the producers, which will slow the economy even further. So folks, give us a call, 800-321-0710. That's 800-321-0710. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
Are you worried about the recent coronavirus crisis and how it may have affected your money? Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback, inviting you to join me for my complimentary 6 Ways to Keep Calm During Turbulent Markets webinar. If you schedule and keep your no-obligation webinar today at 888-988-JOSH. It's a great thing to do. If you're stuck at home under stay-at-home orders, call us right now, 888-988-JOSH. If you're bored, there's never been a better time to get a second opinion on your wealth than right now. 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674. And go to my website, retirementrealitycheck.com today and take your free investment profile quiz. And when you buy my book, you're eligible for 3 free gifts. 888-988-JOSH.
Call Josh Jalinski, host of the popular Financial Quarterback radio program, 888-988-JOSH.
We're back. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback, coming to you live. Larson's bill would require millionaires and billionaires to pay the same rate as everyone else. That's a lie. It's to those who make over 400 grand. Stop saying millionaires and billionaires, because millionaires and billionaires don't pay tax on their wages. Sick of it. These people lie. They're sending us up a creek without a paddle. Is that the saying? Larson said Wednesday that while the Social Security cost of living adjustment is 5.9%, we need to tax people more and more. No, we didn't say that, but that's what I guess he meant. So it's welcome news that only further underscores the need for Congress to act on Social Security. Wrong. Next up, we have Laura, who has a question on health care. Go ahead.
Yes, I have a question. You had a speaker on several weeks ago about strategies for healthcare until you get to the age of Medicare, and you were talking a little bit about some sort of a supplement or some sort of a aid that several states had. I think it was income tested to buy health insurance, and I'd like to hear a little more about that.
Well, you could go to the Obamacare exchanges and check.
Okay, that's what that strategy was. I wasn't sure.
Yes, yeah, essentially. You could also get a job somewhere that has health insurance. If you go to, what state do you live in?
New York.
If you go to the New York State Healthcare, I'm Googling it right now. You just Google the exchange, it should come up.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you so much.
New York State Medical Insurance Exchange. There's some ads, but if you go to newyorkstateofhealth.ny.gov, you can get started, compare and estimate costs, and enroll today. But that is a big problem. If you're between 60 and 65, they don't have Medicare. And usually, a lot of successful people, they retire at 55. They retire at 60. Or you're pushed out as you're aging because of maybe you can be replaced by 2 employees for half the pay. So you have to watch health insurance. So I would go to the healthcare exchanges. He may have had some other tip. So if you missed that, go to the YouTube, look for the Medicare exchange I did with Jai-O. So if you Google... go to youtube.com, search for Financial Quarterback, hit the subscribe button, and you search for J-O, that's O-H. It should be there. But
okay.
your state has the healthcare marketplace. That would be my tip.
Okay, so basically the strategy would be to get your income as low as possible so you could qualify for as much supplement as possible, correct?
Exactly. So if, let's say, you have to live off your IRAs, you don't want to be taking from your IRAs, and you don't want to be doing Roths at that time. You want to wait till you're 65 and have Medicare to do Roths. And that's why it is important to have a coordinated and integrated holistic plan for your money. And we'll give you the protection, savings, and growth model and an asset summary guide free when you call 888-988-JOSH and schedule your no obligation one-page financial review. Thank you, Jim. Jim, we couldn't do the show without you. I got the hot water. Jim is the unsung hero of the office. We thank God for Jim. He's the office manager. And in times of great distress, he is helping me get some hot water. So, Jim, thank you. So, what's next? We have more of your calls at 800-321-0710. 800-321-0710. If you have a question for me, now is the time to chime in. If you have a question on YouTube, ask it in the chat. We have Terrence, who is confused, dazed and confused. Go ahead, Terrence.
Hey, man, it's actually a good movie. I'm Unbroken from YouTube. I just want to know, can you clear up? A lot of us new at this, even if we're older, are really confused about what you mean by Roth and, how to reputedly get involved in that stuff and where to go. And, I always hear people say this stuff, but they never really give us an idea of how to head into that stuff, from what angle and where to trust getting involved in that stuff.
Okay, sure. So if you need a Roth, you can call my office at 888-988-JOSH, or you call any brokerage account. So we work with Fidelity and Schwab and some others, interactive brokers. You fill out an application. Usually have to show proof of identity, name, social security number, all that. And then you write a check. So you don't write a check to me, you write a check to Fidelity. And a financial advisor helps you do that. And you might say, I don't have that. I'm just starting out. That's okay. We can help you. Just call us at 888-988-JOSH. So there's the setting up of the brokerage account with the brokerage institution. And then there's having a financial advisor acting as a fiduciary in a fiduciary capacity whose job is to act according to your best interest. You generally pay that person a fee, somewhere around 1 to 1.25% fee, to help you and guide you along. Funny thing is, you always hear people say, oh, you don't need to pay a fee, but like you said, you don't even know where to start, right? So it's worth it to have somebody hold your hand, so to speak. But it's as simple as you fill out an application, you then write a check, and a financial advisor or you would pick whatever ETFs or funds to start. And we would recommend, if you're starting out, a diversified portfolio of index funds or low-cost exchange-traded funds in different asset classes. So you don't put everything in the S&P, but maybe you have 20% in the S&P and 10% in a small cap and 10% in a mid cap, 10% in an overseas ETF. Does that help you?
Yeah. Can I mention one other thing?
Sure.
Quick? My father and mother, they're getting up there in age, and they actually made me the, whatever you call it, in charge of the will.
Executor.
The administrator. And one thing my father always said is, I worked real hard for this money. Do as much as possible to make sure that as little as possible goes back to this government for all my years. And, how do you approach that as an executor? And, how do you deal with, my father was just start a nonprofit, do anything to protect, that money from, I guess, more government
Well, that's what the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation does. They do not want the government to have their money when they die, so they create a charitable trust. All the money goes in the charitable trust. Their family members are on the board of the trust. There's nothing wrong with that. They can help a lot of people. According to who you are, they may have helped many with, all kinds of things. Warren Buffett, that's why he's a part in the Giving Pledge. The reason why these billionaires do the Giving Pledge is they don't trust the government with their money.
Yeah, but we're small people. I mean, we're talking, my parents might leave us, less than six figures. Like,
well, that's fine. You could do a donor-advised fund. You can do a charitable IRA. You could leave your IRAs to charity when you die. You can do a Roth IRA, which is tax-free growth and can be past tax-free. So there, you could do life insurance, which grows tax-free, can be past tax-free. You can do trusts. You can do charitable trusts. You don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to be a billionaire to be smart with your money. You just got to know what the millionaires and billionaires do with their money and then take advantage of the same rules that are available to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but we can take advantage of those rules with such little money?
Oh, yes. There are donor-advised funds. There are charitable trusts. There's leaving IRAs to charity. There's charitable gifts. There's life insurance, which passes tax-free. And there are Roths, which pass tax-free. Okay. So there's a lot you can do, even if you're just starting out, or even if you're what I call a 100,000-aire. So whether you're a 100,000-aire, millionaire, billionaire, we're here for you. Call our office at 888-988-JOSH, and we'll help you. Any other questions?
Yeah, that's good for now. Let somebody else get on mine. It's all right.
Thanks, Unbroken. Thank you for also typing your questions in the chat box of the YouTube. So, folks, if you have questions, now is the time to chime in. And, folks, I want to ask you a question. You could call us at 800-321-0710. Do you believe we're in inflation or deflation? When we return, call us 800-321-0710 if you have a question for me. This is your show. We are dedicating the show to you. Reach out with any question on your mind. We are guest-free today. The guest is you. So call me right now live, 800-321-0710, and you get to ask me any and every financial question on your mind. Just try to call the other financial shows. Most of them are canned to make the host look good. We look good anyway. So call us, 800-321-0710 with a question. And call me right now at 800-321-0710 for your very own customizable model for financial success. We will go through our model, and it's a powerful, coordinated process where you get to see your whole life on a single, organized view. You get to have a clear picture. Have you ever felt like you're putting one foot on the gas pedal and the other on the brake with your financial life? Meaning you're paying down your debt and you're paying more taxes. You're doing your 401k, but you're like, man, I got to pay all this tax when I retire. You need a model. So give us a call now, 888-988-JOSH. You'll get the model free when you schedule and keep your no obligation review. Up next, Mike is worried about an IRS rule that may cost him $10,000 when we return. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback here. In these uncertain financial times, it is imperative that you guard your financial future. If you call within the next 3 minutes, we will offer our complimentary bear market survival guide, which will detail steps to help your plan to potentially survive the COVID-19 crisis. The bear market survival guide will cover how you might still be able to retire amid a volatile economic climate. We will throw in our complimentary 27-point ultimate game plan for retirement. Call us at 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674 for your bear market survival survival guide.
Call Josh Jalinski, host of the popular financial quarterback radio program, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH. It's always on your mind. Retirement, whether you're 55 or 35. Not everyone wants to work forever, and most would like a comfortable retirement. You may already have a plan, but is it the right one? Josh Jalinski, host of the popular financial quarterback radio program, is ready to guide you towards financial freedom. He challenges the ways your parents and grandparents saved money with fresh strategies, which are exactly what you need to navigate today's volatile economic climate. Josh's new book, Retirement Reality Check, is available to order on Amazon. It's an easy read that guides you through his system for securing your financial freedom, including tax-saving strategies, understanding the right investment mix, and more. Order now. Retirement Reality Check. Call Josh at 888-988-JOSH. Let Josh help you map out your retirement using fresh strategies. Call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674.
$10,000 rule. Do you mean the $10,000 gift rule? What rule are you talking about?
Oh, hi, Josh. It's Mike. Josh, the one that they're trying to propose where they started out at $600 and now it's going to be a $10,000 annual in and out of your bank account so they can keep track of you, that's a concern of mine.
They already do that.
You know, the inflow. Yeah, but what they're saying now is they're trying to look into your savings and your checking accounts, and they want to know if you have a total of $10,000 a year inflow and outflow. And they're trying to push that through. It started out that they wanted to do it at $600, and everyone was up in arms because it was such a low amount. Now they're saying $10,000, but I think the public has a misconception. They're thinking it's $10,000 transaction, each transaction, but it's actually annually. If you put in $10,000 or more in outflow, they want to keep track of everything that you're doing. And the problem I have with it, the big problem is they have an exemption there.
It's called the Bank Secrecy Act. It's the $10,000 rule.
Yeah, that's if you do it at one shot, $10,000. You know, like if you go in and you deposit $10,000 or take out $10,000. Now they want to do it on $10,000 annually. You know, so
the annual gift rule of $15,000.
No. The one that they're trying to stick into this bill that they're trying to force, that they're trying to get through the 1.5 trillion or 3.5 trillion. And what it is they're actually going to monitor all of your transactions in a year. And if you go over the $10,000 threshold, they have to report that to the IRS. Now they're going to monitor all your banking, like all your checking accounts, all your savings accounts. So they want to know every bit of money that's coming in and out.
Yeah, I don't like it, but to me, we've already allowed them this. I mean, I know you're saying it's slightly different. I'd have to confirm if this is accurate according to Bloomberg. Democrats eye narrowing Biden plan on bank reporting to the IRS.
Right.
Well, yeah, I guess it's for people who have cash businesses to sock it to them so they pay more in taxes.
Yeah, cash businesses, or if someone, my concern is like if you sell your automobile and, you had it for years and then all of a sudden it becomes a more valuable vehicle and you're able to sell it for more money, make a few dollars on it. They're going to want to see every little thing that goes through. And it's privacy. It's our privacy that they're invading even more. And the one thing that really gets me on it is they have an
I'm definitely against it. So call them.
Yeah.
Call your congressmen and senators and oppose this.
And why would they? One other thing I want to put out there, so if the public that's hearing now, is why would they exempt firemen and teachers from the rule? That I don't understand. The only thing that I can understand is I know teachers work in the summer, and it may be an under-the-table job, or, firemen happen to have, what fireman do you know that doesn't have two jobs, or three?
That's exactly what it is. The unions, basically what they're trying to do is tax the hidden economy.
Right.
Which is already going to be happening because if we're allowing them to stick stuff like this through the bill, we're headed to a CBDC and eventually a cashless society. so that the government can track everything, tax everything.
Correct.
So it's why Bitcoin is more popular now.
Right. Until they start clamping down on them, which is any day now. But the fact of the matter is, what I don't like these exemptions. I mean, if it's going to be for everybody, let it be for everybody. You know what I mean?
No, and by the way, they're not necessarily going to clamp down on Bitcoin. They're just going to regulate it and tax it because they can't confiscate it. So with chain analysis, they're just going to tax capital gains on Bitcoin holders, which,
Yeah, exactly. Which when they go to the accountant, they ask you if you have an offshore account today, which they never used to do,
Well, there are people who've evaded taxes, so they should pay taxes. We should just have lower flat taxes.
Yeah, no doubt. But like I said, I want an equal playing field. If they want to come out with this, they want to look at everybody's accounts and everything. Don't exempt groups. It's for every American.
I'm against this bill. So vote. Tell your congressmen or senators to vote against it. There is just so much.
I live in New Jersey. That's like talking into the. That's not going to happen. We're all Democrats in New Jersey.
Well,
right?
It won't happen if you sit home on election day. It won't happen if you. So make sure you go vote. So thanks for the call. Next up, we have Michael, who wants to know where to invest $350,000. Go ahead, Michael.
Yes, hi. Yes, I'd like to know. I just sold my condo on Long Island, and I moved to Jersey. Now I rent, and I'd like to know, somewhere decent to invest my money that's safe, because I'm 60 years old, and I'd like to not have a high risk investment. Just something stable that has a dividend, that quarterly dividend that pays something.
Well, for dividends, you could look at high-quality dividend-paying stocks like utility stocks. You could also look at a diversified conservative portfolio. Now, realize if it's stocks could go down. That is the risk. You could also look at, guaranteed income annuities if you wanted a monthly paycheck. So, or you could do a blend of the two, of dividend-paying stocks or dividend-based ETFs coupled with annuities. Now, I'm not recommending you buy or sell anything over the airwaves, so give us a call at 888-988-JOSH, and I'd love to help with you. So are you looking for more of an income-oriented market-based strategy or non-market related?
I'm looking for the best one, possibly, that has low risk. Mostly, I'm looking for is dividends that pay quarterly.
Okay.
That's not too risky, but I want to have a decent quarterly income from it. I know, the utilities pay around 3%, that area.
Yeah, and you would want to diversify. Don't just pick utilities. You might have 10 different asset sectors like telecom, tech, utilities, natural resources, oil and gas. You might want to have a diversified array of dividend payers. If you want to call us at 888-988-JOSH, I can give you some tips on that, and we could build an income strategy for you with our customizable income for life planning software, okay?
All right. Thank you so much for your advice.
Thank you. We're not giving any advice over the airwaves. So call us, 888-988-JOSH. We'll be back after these messages.
Hey, meet you out on the first tee?
Yeah, I'll be right there. Just reading this article.
On what?
New bill Congress passed. Looks like it's going to affect the value of all retirement savings plans. My financial guy didn't tell me about this when I saw him the other day.
Well, my guy did, and we made a plan. You may have heard of him, Josh Jalinski.
Josh Jalinski is your guy?
Listen, if you're 10 years or less from retirement,
which I am,
Josh will give you a free economic plan, which includes retirement planning, a 27-point checklist to make sure your income lasts as long as you live. He'll even help you navigate the current tax code.
I'm definitely going to call Josh.
Cool, but first, can we play some golf?
Call Josh Jalinski, host of the popular Financial Quarterback radio program, for your free economic plan. 888-988-JOSH. 888-988-JOSH. 888-988-JOSH.
We're back. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. And there is no substitute for meeting with a financial advisor, a fee-based fiduciary who can look out for your interests. So call us at 888-988-JOSH. We don't just say we're not giving financial advice. We'll give you tips, ways to look for. You can look for dividend-paying stocks, look in different sectors, but nothing substitutes getting your own 3-part plan. And if you call us at 888-988-JOSH, we'll give you 2 things, an agenda of the items you want to discuss, and your very own customizable asset summary where you get to see all of your life on one page from a tax planning perspective and income, savings, and growth. Next up, Maureen, go ahead.
Hi, good morning, Josh. I have an 85-year-old uncle, and he has no will and no trust. He has a wife in poor health. He has 2 adult sons. But I'm wondering what I can say to convince him to get a will together and maybe get a trust together. And it seems like the attorney cost for that, with like an elder care attorney, it's cost prohibitive. He could afford it, but he just doesn't think there's a reason that he should have a will.
Cost prohibitive?
Or he should have anything in a trust.
Cost? I mean,
I think like $3,500 for like a revocable.
And how much is he worth?
And the will. Well, the house probably about $700,000, and he's got money in the bank.
I mean, he needs to do something. Go to.
So you think he's too young or too old? And
no, he's got to do something tomorrow. He's 85. This is dying without a will is dumb. Dying without a trust may be non-advisable. Go find a local yokel attorney to do one cheap. Generally, I've seen the cost is anywhere from $1,000 to $4,000 for a will, living will, health directives, power of attorney, revocable trust, something like that. Sounds about normal, but you could always call.
Yeah.
Where do you live?
I'm on the North Shore in Long Island.
Maybe call somebody in upstate New York who's still licensed and by the bar, but maybe they're not going to charge as much. But
that's a good idea.
Go, where maybe you're being charged more because you're on the North Shore. So I know, for example.
So you think I should shop it?
I know, for example, with New York, right? We have many clients in New York, and I live in Toms River. Toms River attorneys are way cheaper than New York attorneys. So if I could call around for you if you want to call us at 888-988-JOSH too. I could call some local attorneys down here who are licensed in New York and New Jersey. I'm not an attorney, not giving you legal advice, but even if your dad's the cheapest guy on earth, you could go to, Rocket Lawyer or LegalZoom and get something documented and notarized just so his wishes are there. But I would pay, what's he worth? If you're worth $1 million, what's $4,000? If he's worth $300,000, what's $4,000? You know what I mean?
I think he's looking at it from the point of, hey, I won't be here, so what do I care?
Well, does he want a judge to
he has
decide?
His wife is ill.
Does he want the government to get all the money?
Yeah, I don't think he cares, but I'm wondering maybe we should just pay for it to help him out or his wife. What if he goes
maybe you
first,
pay half, he pays half. Yeah, something like that. But we could certainly help you. You want to get something done. And if you need me to help you shop around, give us a call. 888-988-JOSH.
Thank you.
888. Like I found, an attorney in like Manahawk, and they were like $1,000. So, sometimes where you go, and you don't need the best will on earth. You just need a will that a judge will be okay. So they're not, the enemy of the good is sometimes the perfect. So give us a call, 888-988-JOSH. We'd love to meet with you, 888-988-JOSH. And you get to score your top 5 investing holdings from a standpoint of risk, fees, and taxation. 888-988-JOSH. We'll be back in a few minutes. 888-988-JOSH.
WOR and WAXQ HD2 New York, an iHeart radio station. Available everywhere on our free iHeartRadio app. Number 1 for music, radio, and podcasts.
The rules keep changing every day. We'll make sure you know what they are. Doing our part to keep the tri-state safe. 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
An iHeart radio station.
It's 49 degrees at 10 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Paul DeCastro. Early voting begins today for registered voters in New York and New Jersey. And things are getting interesting in the Garden State, where Governor Murphy's lead in the polls is shrinking.
At one point, Governor Murphy had a 15-point lead, but an Emerson College Pix 11 survey out this week shows the lead has narrowed to just 6 points against his Republican challenger, Jack Ciattarelli. The poll also shows 7% are still undecided. Reaction on the street?
A little bit surprising, but I still think he'll win. I think he's done a good job.
Fed up with the Democrats. It's taxes. I mean, I'm looking at getting out of Dodge.
I'm not really a Murphy fan with the whole COVID situation, and he told people to stay home.
He's done a commendable job considering what Governor had to go through, the pandemic.
I'm Scott Pringle, WOR News.
Several high-profile Democrats have been to New Jersey recently to campaign for Murphy. Former President Barack Obama will be at a Murphy rally today in Newark. A shooting overnight at a Bronx public housing building has left one man dead. According to cops, the victim was gunned down around 2 a.m. on Saturday in the hallway of the Bronx River houses at 1471 Watson Avenue in Soundview. The unidentified victim was shot twice in the legs and was rushed to Kobe Medical Center, where he later died. Cops are searching the area for surveillance footage to help them in their search for a suspect. No arrests have been made and the investigation is ongoing. Well, fair to say that Broadway is truly back with the return of The Phantom of the Opera. The curtain rising again on the longest-running show in Broadway history, making its triumphant return following the 19-month pandemic pause. The Andrew Lloyd Webber musical returning last night at the Majestic Theater. The sellout crowd roared in response to the legendary chandelier rising once again and the unmistakable sound of the organ. The Phantom of the Opera debuted on the Great White Way back in January of 1988. Sports, well, for the first time in 9 years, the Knicks are 2-0 as they crush the Magic in Orlando, 121-96. The Nets are 1-1 as they beat Philadelphia on the road, 114-109. Kevin Durant, a 29-point triple-double. Baseball, the Astros advanced to the World Series, beating the Red Sox 5-0 in Game 6 of the ALCS. Tonight, Game 6 NLCS. Atlanta looking to wrap it up against the LA Dodgers.
Here's your WOR Weather Channel forecast. Temperatures will run close to average during this weekend, partly to mostly cloudy today with a slight chance for a shower. The afternoon high should approach 60, and then tonight a clearing trend will take place with a low of 47. Plenty of sunshine tomorrow to wrap up the weekend with a high of 61, and then a few showers early Monday, otherwise cloudy with a high near 70. I'm meteorologist Jeff Marr.
Next news at 11. Start your day with Len Berman and Michael Riedel in the morning, 6 till 10 Monday. I'm Paul DeCastro on 710 WOR and NBC News radio station.
Tired of losing money in the stock market roller coaster? Frustrated with the government taxing you into oblivion? Worried about inflation? How do you prepare for so many financial uncertainties? Welcome to the show that will help you develop your game plan. The Financial Quarterback with Josh Jalinski. Josh is a noted financial advisor and president of the Jalinski Advisory Group, and he's here to answer your questions. Call into the show at 800-321-0710. 800-321-0710. Now, let's kick off your financial future. Here's Josh Jalinski.
Hi, everybody. This is Josh Jalinski, the Financial Quarterback, taking your calls. Also, if you have a question, put it in the chat box. We'd love to hear from you. We have Pat who says that at 83-year-old, should you convert your entire IRA of $500,000, half in cash, pay the tax, and highest Medicare Part B, D premiums, IRMA for 1 year to avoid high Medicare and IRMA going forward? It may be beneficial, but you got to do the numbers. You got to do the math. That's why it's important to have a fee-based fiduciary. Now, another question goes, any comments on indexed universal life? This is from Brooklyn JJQ. Indexed universal life could be a tool for ill or good. It depends on the type of policy you have. I'll tell you got to watch for the internal fees, the external fees, the caps, the spreads, the participation rate. So the Index Universal Life pitch sounds great. You don't lose anything if the market goes down, but if you make something, you get capped. So let's say you're linked to the S&P. If the S&P 500 goes down, you get a 2% interest credited to your life insurance policy. If it goes up 10, you make 9%. But what they don't tell you is all of the embedded insurance fees. So you have to realize what are the insurance fees, could be valuable, and then it may be better to just have a dividend-paying ordinary life plan, cash value whole life, where they cannot raise your rate. So guaranteed premium, guaranteed death benefit, guaranteed cash value based on the claims paying ability of the underlying insurance company. Now, Index Universal Life could be structured properly where the fees are minimal and buy you the death benefit, which allow the product to be both tax deferred and you can pull it out tax free according to the tax code. But you got to watch out for the fees and all of that. Next up, we have a question from Danielle. Go ahead. You're on with Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. And then we have Richard, who wants us to talk about deferred compensation. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. I have an only child, so no fighting amongst kids when I pass away. My question is, I own a home, I own a rental home also, and some money invested. Do I put it in her name now? Do I leave it in trust, or do I just will it to her?
Well, call us at 888-988-JOSH for the Protection, Savings, and Growth Model Review, because you need to see all of your assets laid out, because some assets will be better passed by will, some by trust, and some by beneficiary designation. So what do I mean by that? Let's say, so you basically want no one else to get the money, just your baby girl.
That's it.
So let's say
Not
you have an
even
IRA.
her.
Your IRAs should be listing her as the beneficiary, so long as there's no special needs trust. Does she have a special needs situation or no?
Not at all.
So you would leave her as the beneficiary on IRAs or Roths, or on your bank accounts, or on your brokerage accounts with what's called a transferable on death designation. And we could show you which asset is best left that way. So that's via beneficiary. Then you want to revise your beneficiary designations. You also want to look at a will for assets that cannot be covered by beneficiary designation. Jewelry, maybe there's an account that you can't name a beneficiary on. Your house, things like that. You generally want to avoid gifting strategies unless you're worth more than about $5 million. Are you worth more than $5 million? I know you're priceless in God's eyes, but I mean from a financial perspective.
No, the houses are worth probably $1 million together. The two houses are probably worth just over $1 million, and there's maybe, the other things that are the investments are. She is the designated beneficiary on all my stocks, on all my funds, which I've actually just left my name. I want to speak to you off the record about that stuff, but
sure.
I was thinking I should put the houses in her name just to make life easier for her. My current attorney said, oh, absolutely not. If she gets mad at you, she's going to kick you out of her own house. Don't put the things in her name. And I thought, well, what about trust then, the houses?
Well, let me tell you why you don't want to gift. You may want to look at a trust. So we talked about beneficiary designation. We talked about will. The reason why you might want to leave the real estate in the will is she gets the step up in basis, so she doesn't have to pay any tax on the capital gains. Does that make sense?
Well, yes, I'm an accountant, so I do understand that. You're right. Like, I get that. She'll start with, rather than start at zero, she starts.
And when you gift her,
whatever she inherited at, right?
When you gift her the house or stock, you're gifting her your basis. So that's kind of not smart from a tax perspective. Now, here's why you would want to do a trust. You'd want to do trusts if you do not trust how it'll all end out. let's say you love her, you trust her, but you don't trust her spouse or significant other. Or let's say you love them, you trust them.
I'd like to address that.
But people could change. So that's why you might want to do a gifting. So you got to evaluate, and this is why you need a financial advisor, what comes first, because you don't want to do it with your attorney. Your attorney's just going to charge you endlessly. You want to prioritize capital gain savings or in-law outlaw protection. So for me, I have 7 kids. I've seen vast amount of clients and retirees who come to me and their kids inherit the money and then they piss it away. So that just irks me, right? So I don't want my kids, love my kids, love my wife, but I don't want them to piss it away due to an in-law or outlaw or what I call creditors, predators. So a trust protects you from creditors. So let's say your child accidentally kills somebody in a car accident. If they inherit all this money and it's not a part of a trust, there is no creditor protection. There is no protection if they get divorced. So that's why you would look at trust. And then maybe they never get divorced, but what about your grandkids? So trusts
does protect her, keep the money if she gets divorced?
Yes, if you set up a trust.
She's not married yet.
So yeah,
if she owns it prior to being married, doesn't she keep it if they get divorced?
In certain states, yes. In certain states, no. But here's where it gets fuzzy. Let's say she has a $500,000 mortgage and you leave her $1 million in cash. She's probably going to pay off that mortgage. Then eventually he'll be put half on the deed. You know what I mean? Like when they do their estate planning, when you're gone. So there, you can't control that situation unless you do a trust. Does that make sense?
Yeah, then I like the idea of a trust because I do want to control her from the grave.
Yeah. No, I want to have control in the grave. You know why? I earned it. My kids didn't earn it yet. I want them to. But now, are there some costs when you do a trust for attorneys? Yes. But are there, is it maybe a little tax inefficient? So that's why you don't want to put everything in a trust. You know, for example, maybe one house you put in a trust and one house you don't. So you get the step up. You know, so it depends on what type of asset. Maybe you put all non-real estate in the trust. Maybe you put high basis assets in a trust. And we'll go through that with you with your own customizable protection, savings, and growth review if you call us at 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674. Okay?
So I just left my name with him, so they'll just automatically call me?
They may. If they don't, call our office. They're standing by live. You left your message with the call screener. Usually they'll send an email with your number to our staff at the end of the show. And then they'll reach out to you sometime between 11 and 12 Eastern, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, I called that 1-800-JOSH a few minutes ago and left my number there as well.
Okay, great. Well, fantastic. I look forward to meeting you. 888-988-JOSH. Any other questions? This is a great discussion.
I think the rest are just about financial investment. So that'll come when I speak to whoever calls me on the phone.
But it's critical. Assets pass 3 ways: via trust, will, or beneficiary designation. It's not necessarily an either or. It may be you do a little bit of each. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I'm looking to protect her money in the future. She's not married yet. They're going to get married, and I'm just concerned if there's a divorce, does he just get half my money? You know?
Could. Now, some attorneys will say, no, you keep it segregated. But you know as well I do. And in a marriage, like, what's mine is my wife's. You know what I mean? Like, and it gets very hard if you've been married, 20 years to keep things separate. You know? I mean, maybe she's really, really good about it. Maybe she sees an attorney. But you don't want to have her do, like, a prenup. You know what I mean? It's like, duh.
I kind of do want to. I thought of that. I told her I think a prenup is appropriate. Let him keep his, you keep yours.
Well, then do a prenup. If there is significant assets before, but that's where a trust would also play into account. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So a trust sort of allows her to not have anything. Your money has nothing to do with him at all if you set up a dynasty trust. It passes to your blood. He only is a recipient. But let's say your trust, and this is why you can't, let's say the trust gives her 20 grand a month for as long as she lives, or 10 grand a month for as long as she lives. He can never get the bulk. But he, theoretically, right, they could enjoy the income from the trust and go on a trip together. But then he's only benefiting so much as he's loving your daughter. Does that make sense? So I like that. So if
they divorce?
And if they get divorced, he's no claim to that money, ever.
But can't he say, well, she has $10,000 or $20,000 a month income, so she should pay me child support or alimony?
Well, very good question. There are certain states like South Dakota where they don't mandate child support or alimony. And it's far better to have a trust anyway. Like if you have a New York trust, they can remand some of those things. But get an out-of-state trust from a state that has creditor proof, divorce proof, child support, alimony proof. We can help you navigate through that, okay? That's why it's not just good to go to one person for legal. I'm not an attorney, but I know enough to be dangerous and to then direct you. That's why I'm called the financial quarterback. Does that make sense?
Yes. So, and we're New Jersey. We're South Jersey.
Yeah, well, New Jersey's a nightmare in of itself. I'm New Jersey as well. So.
I know firsthand, yes. So
I tell my wife we should move to Florida tomorrow, but she likes it up here. So, folks, give us a call, 888-988-JOSH. We'd love to meet with you, shake your hand, and go over a free Zoom. We're going to go through the YouTube chats when we return. Also, Facebook chats. There are some questions, and if you have a question for me, call us 800-321-0710. 800-321-0710. Also, 850 miles per hour says, thanks for the on-air advice. By the way, your show with Lacey Hunt was one of the best radio interviews I've ever listened to. Great job. Somebody, it's funny, we're on YouTube and we're on radio. We're on one of the biggest stations in the country for AM talk radio. So people watch the YouTube and they think like I'm some bonehead. Like, who is this guy? We want to hear Lacey Hunt. Well, people don't realize people want to hear me. And it's funny. Give us a call and just call us 888-988-JOSH for a personalized conversation. 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674. We'll be back after these messages.
Are you worried about the recent coronavirus crisis and how it may have affected your money? Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback, inviting you to join me for my complimentary 6 Ways to Keep Calm During Turbulent Markets webinar. If you schedule and keep your no-obligation webinar today at 888-988-JOSH. It's a great thing to do. If you're stuck at home under stay-at-home orders, call us right now, 888-988-JOSH. If you're bored, there's never been a better time to get a second opinion on your wealth than right now. 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674. And go to my website, retirementrealitycheck.com today and take your free investment profile quiz. And when you buy my book, you're eligible for 3 free gifts. 888-988-JOSH.
Call Josh Jalinski, host of the popular Financial Quarterback radio program. 888-988-JOSH.
Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback here. In these uncertain financial times, it is imperative that you guard your financial future. If you call within the next 3 minutes, we will offer our complimentary bear market survival guide, which will detail steps to help your plan to potentially survive the COVID-19 crisis. The bear market survival guide will cover how you might still be able to retire amid a volatile economic climate. We will throw in our complimentary 27-point ultimate game plan for retirement. Call us at 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674 for your bear market survival guide.
Call Josh Jalinski, host of the popular Financial Quarterback radio program. 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH.
Hi, everybody. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Why do we say we're not giving financial advice over the airwaves? Because there's no substitute for getting a customizable financial model. I'm a believer in low-cost investing, but how do you put it together? How do you put the tax work with the legal work, with the investing, because you need a customizable plan for investing, insurance, protection, so that long after you're gone, your family is protected. So I never realized until I started doing numerous interviews with attorneys over the years that you could have a trust in one state. Did you know this, Ernesto? You could set up a trust, think you are divorce proofing and creditor proofing your heirs, but then if you have child support, they attach to the trust. That happens in many states, like Delaware, which is a top 10 state for trusts. So if you're going through all that work, paying through all the legal bills, I'd rather do like a South Dakota trust or a Nevada trust for the benefit of protecting my heirs should they not have a great marriage. So, folks, give us a call, 800-321-0710 if you have a question for me. We have a bunch of people chiming in over YouTube. 850 miles per hour says, Mr. Hunt's now out of print books go for hundreds of dollars now on Amazon. Wow. He's a genius. You know, you could get his newsletter free at hoisington.com, which tells you his quarterly outlook. He's brilliant. So we got a lot of questions going over YouTube. Somebody is asking me to chime in on some discussion that I don't really understand the question. So if it could be restated, that would be great. We have somebody says, why should we pay a tax on something we bought and already paid tax when reselling on Facebook, eBay? Kind of ridiculous. Well, yeah, that's where this is going. All of this $600, $10,000 reporting is because there is a vast pool of generally lower middle class work that is being untaxed right now, and they want to trace it. So everything I do is taxed, but not you, Uber driver, not you, Etsy seller, not you, eBay, and Grandpa Joe is coming for you, or Uncle Sam. Got Grandpa Joe and Uncle Sam. Okay, someone says you want chime in on Truth Social by Trump. Yeah, I think it's idiotic. Okay, I may be offending somebody because we have a lot of
He's asking about the SPAC, right? For the new social network.
If you invest in the SPAC now, buyer beware. If you invested when it was 51 cents or $9, good for you. But if you're investing now, just because Trump is attaching to your name, it may go like Trump Airlines. How did that go? Now, here's the thing. Trump, I'm going to give you my take on the Trump Truth Social. It may be surprising when we return, but first we're going to get Sal, who wants financial implications. Go ahead, Sal.
Hi, thank you. Recently separated, came down to North Carolina. We own two properties, a beach condo and a house on the mainland. So I moved into the condo, and we're doing an even split. Bottom line is, I need to know my implications if we never get divorced and things change and I start doing other businesses. I'm like, I came down here to do work, but I'm 64 and things didn't pan out. My wife's in the healthcare field. She works fine. She's got great, good income. We'll have no mortgages after. We're selling the main house now, and she's keeping all the money.
So wait, are you separating or not? Yeah. And what is the question? Should you get divorced?
So my question is, what's implications? I mean, is it a good idea to just stay separated? I mean, for financial purposes, or should we go further?
Well, it depends on what your accountant and advisors say. Right. I would be happy to walk through with you. If you're in North Carolina, we do calls all the time on Zoom. Call us at 888-988-JOSH. Set up your I'm divorcing or separating. What should I do with my money review? We help a lot of people going through, it's a traumatic time. I'm so sorry you're going through this. So what are some tips? Number one, if you are amicable, do your estate planning now before it gets worse, because people are going to get in her ear. She may meet someone. You may meet someone. You may have children together, and you'd rather your money, half of your money, go to your kids when you die than her or her future boyfriend. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. I read like all my annuities and everything, and my life insurance and all of that is in trust right now for my 3 children.
No, but you may want to revise the trust, because she may have a claim to that money when you die. So you might create a trust that says everything that we created, 50% is going to go to a trust set up for her, but when she dies, it goes all to the kids. That way you're sort of setting up an agreement, and then you set up a post-nuptial agreement from any time from this date forward, all of these assets are mine. But from when we were together, and it's much better to do it now than with divorce attorneys and all these other things. Now,
yeah, we don't want to go that direction.
Maybe you don't want to get divorced. And, I hope you have a restored marriage, go for counseling, all of those things. It'll save you a ton of money, too. That's my financial advice. But let's say you just want to codify it. You codify it and say, honey, think about this. Most people, they want their money to go to their kids. So if you say, hey, you're going to get this if I die, even if we're divorced, you get 50% of this. That's some incentive for them to sign a post-nuptial agreement. Does that make sense?
Yes, now I get it.
You got to give her some incentive, because she's going to get half anyway.
Right.
And then if she gets half, here's the other thing. Here's the thing that's crazy. If she gets half, there's no guarantee your kids are going to get that half when you die. She probably loves the children more than you if you're getting separated. So if you position it that it's really for the kids' protection, which is true when you set up a trust and it's done the right way, it can incorporate both of your goals. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then when you die, your shares don't go to your new flame either from when you two were together. So it gives her an incentive to sign the trust. Does that make sense?
Right. Well, what we're going to do is, since she's got a cash buyer now, we got about $100,000 mortgage. After the smoke clears, she's going to have a place with no mortgage. I live in a beach condo, so I have no mortgage. And even though she comes out with more money, over 31 years, that's okay. I'm not, I'm not moaning over $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 at this point in our lives.
But I would get it in writing. I would have a trust, and to be honest, it protects her just as much as you. So
yeah, I see that.
If it's done the right way, because if attorneys get involved, there's $100,000 in legal bills, $200,000 in legal bills that could have gone to your kids. Does that make sense?
Exactly, and that's why we're not doing it. No, thank you. You were helpful. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. And that's why it's important to have a financial quarterback, the financial quarterback on your side. Call us at 888-988-JOSH for the What Do I Do in a Divorce Review. We could help you, or separation review. Any other questions, Sal, before we go to Rob?
No, thank you, pal. I appreciate it all.
Thank you.
Sean Hannity, that you gave me great advice.
Thank you. 888-988-JOSH. Next up, Rob. Did he just call me Sean Hannity? Next up, we have Rob. Go ahead. Or he heard me on Hannity, maybe. Go ahead, Rob.
Good morning. Good morning, Josh. Along the lines of, you always said the only silly question is the one you don't ask. Here we're talking about trust today. Do you have to have the trust set up in the state in which you live, or can you set it up in a more tax-advantaged state?
Well, I would prefer to get it set up in a state that has more favorable rules for creditor protection and the protection of the heirs. If you want my top 5 states for estate planning, call me 888-988-JOSH, and I'll reveal that at our free review, okay?
That's great. So even though I live in Jersey, I don't have to set it up in Jersey.
No.
You're saying you can help me set it up somewhere else.
Yeah, I live in New Jersey, and I know all about the New Jersey rules. Now, New York has some weird rules, but you can still have out-of-state trust. You just got to pay all the taxes. You know, there are certain tax rules, financial reviews. Financial reviews. Sounds like I'm from...
Sounds like a ravioli.
I knew it.
And then financial review, 888-988-JOSH will help you with that. I'll give you the top 5 states that somebody from your state could be in. Now, why does it matter what state you domicile your trust in? Because there are different provisions. If you go to a local yokel attorney who's only licensed in New York or New Jersey, they're going to say, only do a New York trust, only do a New Jersey trust. But there are benefits to doing stuff out of state, namely divorce proofing and creditor proofing your heirs, along with dynasty trust provisions, so your heirs don't have to pay estate tax for up to 365 years. Next up, we have Tammy, who says, what is the name? Oh, any other questions on that, buddy, before we go? Rob?
No, you're great. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'll be calling. Thank you so much.
And call me, 888-988-JOSH. We got it's a love fest today. Somebody said I'm way calmer than Hannity. Well, I got to keep your attention, so I got to get jacked up. No. Someone says, oh, here we go. Oh, yeah, the Truth Social by Trump. I'm going to tell you what I think about this SPAC when we return, and call us for the no obligation protection savings and growth review at 888-988-JOSH. Unbroken said most people are just trying to survive by reselling things. I know, but it doesn't matter. You're going to be taxed in the new law. You're taxed really anyway, just to be fair. And you should be claiming taxes, but we'll see. Give us a call, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH. We got Richard Izzo. What's Richard's question? Well, when we return, we'll be back. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
It's always on your mind. Retirement, whether you're 55 or 35. Not everyone wants to work forever, and most would like a comfortable retirement. You may already have a plan, but is it the right one? Josh Jalinski, host of the popular Financial Quarterback radio program, is ready to guide you towards financial freedom. He challenges the ways your parents and grandparents saved money with fresh strategies, which are exactly what you need to navigate today's volatile economic climate. Josh's new book, Retirement Reality Check, is available to order on Amazon. It's an easy read that guides you through his system for securing your financial freedom, including tax-saving strategies, understanding the right investment mix, and more. Order now. Retirement Reality Check. Call Josh at 888-988-JOSH. Let Josh help you map out your retirement using fresh strategies. Call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674.
Watch my latest show now. Head over to YouTube. We're there for you. 888-988-JOSH if you want help to navigate through this. 800-321-0710 if you have a financial question for me. We have an email that says she loves it. Good morning, sunshine. Heard you say you were live on YouTube. Needless to say, I'm watching you. You look marvelous. I love that tie. Well, thank you. You gave me this tie. Although I forgot my collar stays. I used to go around the office. I like collar stays on a man's shirt. If you don't wear a collar stay, it doesn't look good. So for people who don't have a collar stay, you put paper clips on there. And I used to go around the office and make people put a paper clip in there rather than a collar stay. JFK would fire people for wearing button-down shirts. Did you know that?
I did not.
So she says, I honestly say I enjoy you solo much more. You're more natural and relaxed, the real you. Well, thank you. She says, it's wonderful listening to your informative guests. Well, it is wonderful. Just an FYI, I paid $4 for gas. Last year, it was less than $1.50. If that's not hyperinflation, I don't know what is. PSE&G on Long Island has just raised utilities. I think we are in for a very rough few years. But thank goodness I have you in my court. Thanks for this morning and have a lovely weekend. You know, we're having a lot of fun here today. We got a lively chat on the YouTube. What was Mr. Hunt's email address? Tammy from Virginia, Mr. Hunt's website is Hoisington. I believe Hoisington.com. You can look up Hoisington Investment Management Company, and they have his commentary every quarter. I highly recommend it. It's usually somewhere along the lines of the same thing, though. The world is getting worse, and we are having disinflationary pressure. Folks, I read a comment on Facebook, and it said something like this. We're going to go to Richard's comment on Facebook because it's been a while. Sorry, Richard, I didn't get to you right away. What is his question? Can you talk about deferred compensation and what are the steps to do this for a self-employed person? Thank you. Oh, great question. It's the end of the year, and the time to do year-end tax planning is now, not December 30th. Because if you call me on December 30th and you say, Josh, I'm sorry, but I'm a part of the procrastination nation, and I want to save money on my tax return, I'm going to say, you waited too long. You got to call us in October, November. Now, even though I work round the clock to December 31st, weren't we here like New Year's Eve last year? New Year's, Ernesto?
It was fun.
It was fun. New Year's rockin' Eve. We're gonna have a party. Next week's Halloween. Can we get Harry Dent on for Halloween, Cal? I know we have David McKnight, best-selling author of Tax-Free Retirement, but I want to get Harry Dent on. He's always good on Halloween. He's a little extra spookier, too. Although, apparently, people want to hear me. So we're going to go to Ernesto's question, but first, Richard says, talk about deferred compensation. Well, you can do 5 things to lower your taxes for 2021. I'm going to tell you what they are right now. Number 1, do an IRA. Number 2, set up a solo 401k. Number 3, do a backdoor Roth IRA. Number 4, do a Roth 401k. Number 5, look at a defined benefit plan. And number 6, bonus, look up a deferred compensation plan, also known as a cash balance pension plan. We can show you how to retain more employees, give them a nice benefit in these uncertain times, and get massive tax write-offs in the process. But you got to call me at 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH. Okay. So you may say, why am I not talking and doing all the shows like I did before? Because I had COVID. COVID destroyed my voice. So I like having someone else on personally because my voice can get easily shot now. So pray for me. I don't know how to get my voice back. Although one listener said I needed like whorehound tea. Did you hear that show, Ernesto?
I didn't, but what about like local honey? I'm sure that'll.
I did the help. Local honey. It
doesn't work even for a couple minutes?
No, COVID is stronger than that. But God is stronger than COVID, so pray.
That's very true.
Now, all these remedies, I'm telling you, Ernesto, I did them all. D, C, NAC. Maybe that's why I didn't die, because it was bad, but didn't really help me. Okay, next up, the Trump SPAC. Here's the thing. The Trump SPAC could go down with Trump Airlines. You got to realize, will Trump... Also, we got to get Anthony Scaramucci on. The Trump SPAC skyrocketed as much as 1,657%. Now, we were not given the ability to invest in Trump. Trump instead picked liberal Saba Capital. So there was a private hedge fund, Boaz Weinstein. You hear about this guy?
I did not.
I love his name, Boaz. Boaz is one of my favorite boy names of all time in the Bible. The kinsman redeemer in the book of Ruth. So Boaz Weinstein, Boaz, he sold all of his shares before it popped because he was claiming certain woke values. But all the conservatives that dumped in, I guess on Thursday, pop the stock or the SPAC. Now, I want to realize SPACs are very dangerous. They are very risky for the average investor, and it could go straight down to hell, the stock. So I'm not recommending this at all. Just an interesting story. Trump's tech SPAC could make him billions with meme stock frenzy, according to Bloomberg.com. Isn't that funny? Trump could be the next Zuckerberg. I think that's kind of funny. Now, why am I worried about this? Well, does he want the presidency or does he want to run a $1 billion Facebook competitor? I don't know. Personally, I think he will be more powerful running a Facebook competitor and a media company, a la Ted Turner. That's just my thought. Play kingmaker to, what's the guy in Florida? What's that guy? DeSantis. And that's what I'm thinking he does. But maybe he's like, I've already made a lot of money. I've already been a billionaire. I don't need it. I want to go back. He always talks about how he loved the phones in the White House. Did you ever notice that? So maybe he wants the phones. He is going to Iowa State Fairgrounds.
Why a SPAC, though? Why not just bring the company public?
I don't know.
SPAC is like it's like a blank check, and you're supposed to have companies in it. Yeah.
So So the way the SPACs are, it's a blank check where you pull all this money and you say, well, we're going to buy this company for a buyout. So we're looking at buying this app as a buyout. So we'll see if it works. News late Wednesday that the former president's nascent media enterprise, Trump Media and Technology Group, is planning to go public via SPAC, has sent retail investors into a frenzy, even with few details released. I actually think it was brilliant, right? Because who's going to give him money as a part of like the elite? Is Goldman going to raise money for the IPO? So with the SPAC, you're targeting a company for acquisition. He gets all the Republicans to buy in, and now the stock's $100 a share, even though it doesn't own anything, by the way. This thing could go down to zero. Now, here's what my prediction will be. This is going to be shocking. Remember when Trump was saying, let's end that Section 230?
Exemption.
And I said, watch it. I said, don't end the exemption for 230 for media companies, because then it will hurt a conservative upstart media company like Parler or whatever. I think they're going to resurrect 230 to go after Trump's social media company. And then Facebook and Twitter, they have enough money where they've been preparing for Section 230 and the regulations for years. They will then all of a sudden say, you know what, we're not going to be involved in politics at all. They're going to be involved in selling lipstick and nail care and selling all kinds of weird things. And then they're going to try to hurt Trump's social media company. That's what my prediction will be. I hope I'm wrong, because I've been against repealing 230 because I thought, you know, you're supposed to be Republicans and you're against free speech. Let any company do what they want. Let the free market win.
You mean for free speech?
For free speech.
Yeah.
If the tech moguls are liberal, they have the right to be liberal. If a tech mogul's Republican, they have a right under the Constitution to be conservative. And why are we trying to get in the way? Now, there are media exemptions, and there are all these people who say they're exempted from certain things. That's another legal argument. I'm just saying it was non-applying something, truthfully.
From a business standpoint, though, how do you feel about Facebook changing its name? Like Alphabet is Google's.
What's Facebook going to be?
I don't know.
Instagram? It'll probably be Instagram.
It's perceived as a happier company.
Because Facebook is perceived as more negative, but it'll still be the same thing. So, when we return from the break, Facebook was in the news of a couple weeks ago due to its harmful, abusive practices on children. Alleged. I'm not alleging anything. That's what other people have alleged. I'm going to give my solution to Facebook's problem. This is a major solution you've not heard anywhere else. When we return, and we're taking more of your financial education questions at 800-321-0710. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
Hey, meet you out on the first tee?
Yeah, I'll be right there. Just reading this article.
On what?
New bill Congress passed. Looks like it's going to affect the value of all retirement savings plans. My financial guy didn't tell me about this when I saw him the other day.
Well, my guy did, and we made a plan. You may have heard of him, Josh Jalinski.
Josh Jalinski is your guy?
Listen, if you're 10 years or less from retirement,
which I am,
Josh will give you a free economic plan, which includes retirement planning, a 27-point checklist to make sure your income lasts as long as you live. He'll even help you navigate the current tax code.
I'm definitely going to call Josh.
Cool, but first, can we play some golf?
Call Josh Jalinski, host of the popular Financial Quarterback radio program, for your free economic plan.
So we're live.
888-988-JOSH.
YouTube, we're still live. Even though we're going to commercial on the radio show. I got news for you, YouTube.
Are you worried about
I have a very successful radio show in New York. So some of these comments are like, well, why are you interrupting Dr. Hunt? It's my show.
Inviting you to join me for my
You do have great guests, though.
Dr. Hunt loves me.
During Turbulent Markets webinar.
Ernesto will reveal the question when we get back from the break. We're talking the Trump SPAC,
Josh, it's a great thing to do.
DWAC. There's also some other like
call
fun.
us right now, 888-988-JOSH.
But I've never been
There's never been
for
a better time to get a second opinion on your wealth than right
the problem
now.
of free speech. We got a bunch of YouTube chimers in or
988-5674.
for his throat.
And go
Check
to my
into
website,
Dr. Sebi
retirementrealitycheck.com
and
today
Ayurveda.
and
It's
take
all
your
about
free
mucus.
investment profile quiz.
Yeah, I have a lot of
and when you buy
mucus.
my book.
But I had freaking
Free
COVID.
gifts. 888-988-JOSH.
How
Call
does
Josh
that have any?
Jalinski,
I don't know.
host of the popular Financial
Stand by.
Quarterback
I do
radio
Manuka
program.
honey.
888
And I do ginger.
988-JOSH.
Mycelium. Okay, I'll try mycelium. I don't try that. Okay, we're live. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Call us at 800-321-0710. We have some wonderful chat people in the YouTube. You're just charming. We got Unbroken. We got Tammy from Virginia. We got Acrobizer. Does that mean they do acrobats? I don't know. So what was the question? What was the cliffhanger?
All right, the cliffhanger is that Facebook is changing its name. They have a big PR problem because they've been, censoring and canceling people on Facebook. But you have a solution of how Facebook can get back in the game and be perceived again in a positive light.
This is Instagram and Facebook. Ban all filters. There has been many talks of Facebook being, made by Congress to change their practices. The number one problem with social media is filters. They give people poor body image. They cause all kinds of plastic surgery. They cause depression, anorexia, bulimia. All these people, beautiful women, look and say, "Oh, I have a little wrinkle here. I need a filter." Folks, I have no filter on right now. Ernesto, give me a filter. I should probably get a filter. But if we ban all of the filters, I remember one time I met one of these Instagram celebrities in real life. They had wrinkles all over the place. When you look at their Instagram, you're like, whoa, this person has no wrinkles and they're 48. They look beautiful. Then when you meet them, they're normal looking, just like you or I. So ban all filters and it will help the children have better self-image, better body image. Because in the world of the metaverse, and Facebook's talking about getting the metaverse, you got to be a little real. We got to be a little real, right? So if you have gray hair, have gray hair. You could be a silver fox like Ernesto. Or you could have a little, wrinkles like anybody else. Somebody says, I only use Facebook for a few friends, family, and buying. I ignore the rest, but you still use it. And everybody's on Instagram now. And everybody's on WhatsApp. 4 of the 10 biggest social media outlets are Facebook. I often thought the way to go after them was not Section 230. It was to do antitrust, because essentially they are a social media monopoly in the U.S. And if it wasn't for Snapchat, what's the other one? TikTok, which is basically still the Chinese spying on your children and grandchildren.
Didn't they break up Bell Telephone when we were kids for
something
less?
like that. Yeah, the Bell Telephone. Facebook is way stronger than that. But anyway, as a freelancer and artist, I used to write everything off books, supplies. So yeah, you can still write those things off as a freelance artist. So folks, type into the chat box any questions you have. We're going to go to the phone lines at 800-321-0710, 800-321-0710. Anybody else want me to comment on the Trump SPAC? So the Trump SPAC I thought was a genius move by Trump, because instead of going to Goldman and other financial institutions that may say, we're not going to raise money for you, they raised it themselves by the public offering of the SPAC. And then the firm that underwrit SPAC, or whatever they did, Saba Capital, said, oh, we're washing our hands of this. But they probably made a ton of money after they washed their hands. You always love the hypocrisy of like Hollywood, Wall Street, all these different institutions. That's why I'm all for a flat tax. Get rid of all the set-asides and things like that. And folks, give us a call, 800-321-0710. I have just one more question left. So if you have a question on Facebook, do we have any Facebook questions, Ernesto? Do you have any YouTube questions? Give us a call, 888-988-JOSH, if you want the no obligation customizable model. So what are your thoughts? Greg says we absolutely need a flat tax. What happened to the flat tax? Then you get rid of all the gimmicks, the set-asides, the quotas. You know why we would never get to have a flat tax? Too many attorneys are in Washington. And so they always carve out something. Now, somebody had a question on HSAs. And I don't know where that question went. We just have so many questions right now.
Brother Ted had a question for you.
What's Brother Ted's question?
He actually sold the house in Hoboken.
Congrats, Brother Ted. Did he sell it for what he thought, or did he have to take a pay cut?
He got what he wanted. And then, but I'd mentioned that he should talk to you because he asked me, should he wants to I guess, divert taxes with some of that money. And he wanted to know if he should invest it, what he should do with that money.
Well, we're not giving tax or legal advice, but he should come in for the free review. We'll lay out all of his assets from a protection, savings, and growth review. Why is that so important? Does he have the proper car insurance, home insurance, liability protection, so that newfound money he doesn't lose in a lawsuit? Disability, if he gets disabled, long-term care comes, it could wipe him out. Does he have the proper trusts in place? Then we go into the tax saving strategies. Does he do a 1031 exchange? He has to then name a qualified intermediary within so many days of the sale of the house. Maybe he hasn't done that, but maybe he owns a business, or I think he's a freelancer. Maybe he can set up a solo 401k to get extra deductions if he has not yet set up the 1031. Maybe he could do a Roth 401k. Maybe he could do an HSA, which is triple tax-free dollars. You get a tax break on the way in, you get a tax break on the way up, and a tax break on the way out. So we could also help you with HSAs. And Acrobizer has this question: if medical costs are deductible, when is the HSA needed? Well, the HSA is, you get not only a deduction on that, but you also pull the money out tax-free. That's the benefit of the HSA. And not all medical expenses are deductible. It has to exceed, I believe, 7.5% of your adjusted gross income. So if you make a lot of money, that's a lot of medical expenses before your medical expenses are deductible. So an HSA is to make your medical expenses a little more deductible now. And that's a powerful benefit that many of you are not taking advantage of. So call us, 888-988-JOSH now, 888-988-JOSH. For the no obligation review, we'll take our final break of the hour. When we return, one more question, 888-988-JOSH.
It's always on your mind. Retirement, whether you're 55 or 35. Not everyone wants to work forever, and most would like a comfortable retirement. You may already have a plan. But is it the right one?
There was a debate
Josh
on
Jalinski,
YouTube
host of the
from
popular Financial
Provisor
Quarterback
and
radio program,
Unbroken
is
about
ready to guide you towards
passive
financial
versus
freedom.
active
He
funds.
challenges the ways your
We are
parents and
generally a
grandparents save
believer
money with
in an
fresh
active
strategies,
manager
which are
like
exactly
us
what you need to navigate today's
buying
volatile economic
low-cost
climate.
passive
Josh's
funds
new
to
book,
keep
Retirement
fees low.
Reality
But that
Check,
we don't
is
have to
available
watch
to
it every
order
day.
on Amazon. It's an
Because
easy
there could
read
be
that guides you
downturns in
through
the
his
economy.
system
There
for
could be
securing your
opportunities
financial
out there.
freedom, including tax
So,
saving strategies,
obviously,
understanding
you
the
pick
right
a
investment mix,
fiduciary,
and more. Order
you pick
now.
somebody
Retirement
who doesn't
Reality
charge
Check.
an
Call
arm and a leg,
Josh
and
at
that's what we do
888-988-JOSH.
people.
Let Josh help you
There's
map
been a
out your
debate that went
retirement
active
using
versus
fresh
passive funds for
strategies. Call
years.
888-988-5674.
Sometimes
That's
active funds do better. But generally, we're a believer
888-988-5674.
in passive ETF. Okay, we're back. Greg says after 65, there is no penalty for using for non-medical expenses. You just pay the tax. But when you're older, you have all these healthcare expenses. So it's a very powerful benefit. Someone said this: are we okay with Asian and Chinese companies buying so much real estate in New York and Jersey? How's this even legal? They've been doing it for a long time. So, I'm more have a problem with the Chinese communists buying various stock in the U.S. to have undue control on U.S. markets than some real estate here or there. So give us a question, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674. We're there for you live, and we could show you if you're saving enough for retirement, if you have an income for a life plan. My, oh my, this was a fast 2 hours. We talked Social Security, 10 facts about life insurance you need to know. We'll talk to you about that next week. But life insurance is an integral part of your overall financial plan. A breadwinner's untimely death can decimate a family's financial stability and future goals. But everyone's situation is different, and advisors and agents have the responsibility to choose the right type of life insurance for each person. Add to that the complex tax rules associated with payouts, viatical settlements, and dividends, among other implications, and even the most seasoned financial planners and tax accountants can be stumped. Life insurance can be an exceptional tool at building wealth, but you have to be smart about it. Next week, I'll go over the 10 life insurance facts you need to know. And call us if you want help with life insurance, with ETFs, with protecting your money in these uncertain times. If you call me right now at 888-988-JOSH, we will score your top 5 holdings from a perspective of risk, fees, and taxation. Because it doesn't matter what you get, how much you make, it's what you keep at the end of the day. As Will Rogers said, it's not the return on my money so much as the return of my money that I care about. So call us now.
The preceding
888-988-JOSH.
program was sponsored by the Jalinski
Thanks for
Advisory
watching.
Group.
Any awards, rankings, or recognition by unaffiliated third parties or publications, including 5-Star Wealth Manager, Advisory of the Year finalist by Senior Market Advisor, and Top of the Million